morning, everybody. It's nice to see a room full of old and new friends. Oh, thank you. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. Let's start by standing and singing together our opening song, All Is Well.
In the spirit of celebration, we're grateful, in the brilliance of life's perfection. We're grateful for the blessings already given. In the goodness of God we're living, in the finished kingdom of heaven, and all is well, all is well. In the spirit of celebration, we're grateful, in the brilliance of life's perfection. We're grateful for the blessings already given. In the goodness of God we're living, in the finished kingdom of heaven, and all is well, all is well, all is
Thank you. You guys are a great chorus. And a song written by our own Becca Palm. So I'm so glad you're here and get to spend your morning with us. My name is Reverend James Tierney, and I'm the minister here at Genesis. I'm your host today. Our online host is Eric. So if you're watching on Facebook, please say hello, make comments, connect with other people. I guarantee you, it will increase your enjoyment and your connection with the group and with the sermon. Share your reactions, make a connection. So today is Practitioner Sunday, and so it's different. That's why I'm hosting today rather than giving the sermon. But we're going to start off by introducing all the practitioners because we're going to be reading. The practitioners came up with a new practitioner vision and mission, which they're going to be reading together. So let's start with ChristineEss Young, Randy Singer, Karen Williams, Cynthia Zink, Dave Pennick, and Rose Studer. Are you coming up too? Why not? Reverend Rose. Last and certainly not least. So let's let Dave lead the saying of the mission.
I just was so excited to grab the mic from him. I was like, all right, just give it to me. All right. So let's read together our mission and vision statements. This is very, very exciting. We all came up with this as a practitioner core. So Genesis Spiritual Practitioner Mission. The Genesis Spiritual Practitioners provide spiritual support to the Genesis community at every level. We co-create a sacred space that honors vulnerability and inclusivity, where all people are seen as divine beings and feel empowered to express authenticity. We provide support and guidance to our community by identifying spiritual truths, applying them to current reality in order to foster spiritual growth. We support the transformation of consciousness within our community through affirmative prayer. and our Genesis practitioner vision. The Genesis spiritual practitioners embody spiritual principles and practices in all that we do. We recognize that God is love, our eternal source and boundless supply. Receiving inspiration from that divine source, we allow ourselves to be moved by divine inspiration, recognizing the wisdom unfolding throughout all expressions of life. Through our shared consciousness, we support the growth, expansion, and transformation of our community. Thank you so much. That is our mission and our vision and our consciousness that we hold for all of you and all of Genesis.
Thank you. They will be doing the announcements.
Thank you, James. That's right. It was always said to me that if I'm going to be a minister, I really need to learn how to use a microphone, by myself. So, I guess apparently someday I should learn that, right? Yeah. Okay, so we'll go in for our announcements. So our announcements for June, we have name tags available at the welcome table to help foster connections. Feel free to grab one anytime. We're still looking for greeters for the door as part of our volunteer team. Please see Cynthia if you're interested in signing up. We're grateful to have received a generous stock donation, and we're now making easier than ever to give online. If you feel inspired or know someone who might, visit the Genesis CSL to support the continued growth of our center. Today is the Walk with CSL's Pride Parade. Join us and assist as well as we walk with CSL in the Seattle Pride Parade. Woohoo! On today from 12 to 4, celebrate love, inclusion, and spiritual community. Gideon has Rose Palmer's contact if you need it. Perfect, so let's just see Gideon. Book study will not be meeting today after service, but we are reading The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity by Edwin Gaines. No book, no problem. Karen's got your back. And we're going to be talking, our Genesis Visioning will meet every Thursday, including next Thursday. And so look at your Zoom address and we'll send emails out to you. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of visioning. I facilitate this, but this is not my visioning. This is a visioning for Genesis in general. And I'll tell you a little bit about what visioning is. Visioning is a process in which we get out of our own way. A lot of times as human beings, we'll get into our own head and we'll think that we want to do things the way that we want to do. When we do visioning, the idea is that we get out of our own heads and we let the Spirit of God and how Spirit allows to shine through us individually and express ourselves. We do this individually and we do this as a community, and it's a powerful, wonderful thing when you get together and you vision, not just by yourself, but with a group in general. You can just feel the consciousness and expansion. So this Thursday, we're going to be visioning for Genesis in general, for our community, for the consciousness, for the growth, for the goodness, the prosperity, all that and more. I really invite you to come together and be a part of this. Getting out of our own way and letting Spirit run our lives, which really, and to be honest with you, that's what's in charge. Spirit is within charge. We like to think that we're in charge, but Spirit's in charge. And when we get out of our own way and let Spirit do the work, amazing, amazing, amazing things happen for us and as a community. So I really highly invite you to join us together this Thursday and be a part of that. Be a part of that discussion, be a part of that connection, and be a part of that community. Come join us. Thank you. And Reverend James, I'll give it up to you to do our meet and greet. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So the first thing we do is welcome visitors, and I believe we have a few new visitors. So I'm so happy you guys were able to come here this morning. We'd love to connect with you. And there are a few different ways to connect, and we know everybody loves different methods of communication. So you can fill out a connection card, which you can get at the desk, and drop it in the offering basket, or you can scan the QR code on the card, and it'll open up a personal line of communication. We want to provide you with all the information you need to be able to connect with Genesis and what we do here. If you have any questions, stop at the connection table. Gideon and Cynthia will tell you what you need to know and give you a free gift. That's the best kind of gifts. So now we're going to have a meet and greet. And so we're all going to welcome one another. This church does a lot of hugging. If you prefer not to hug, you can gesture with your hand and people will shake your hand, or you can use namaste hands if you prefer not to touch. And if you prefer just not to mingle, you can stay seated and people will let you just bask in the atmosphere. Reverend Rose is in vigil today, and so she'll be doing the staying seated option, but you can feel her emanations of love, insight, and God coming from that part of the room and filling us all. So let's go meet and greet. I will sound the gong when it's time to get back. So thanks. It's so fun to be able to connect with people, but it's time for more gratitude. We want to thank the people who volunteered to set up, to make everything happen today. We couldn't do it without, yes. And our morning greeter is Cynthia Zink. Our projector video is Mike. Our online host is Eric. Our sound tech is Jim. Gideon will be doing the offering collection. Reverend Rose is doing vigil. Our musician, of course, is the famous Becky Palm. Famous and talented. Yes. And for setup and cleanup, there are there are more than I can mention, but if you care to volunteer, this is the way you can help is just pitch in and see what's done, or talk to Gideon and Cynthia, and they will find more volunteer opportunities for you. The more you participate, the more fun it is, and it's easy to participate. And this group is so much fun to blend into and be participating with. Oh, and now it's time for our next song, written by our own ChristineEss Young, Breathe and Turn Within. And this song we sing seated. So get in your most relaxed position.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love.
It sounds extra great when we have ChristineEss singing it. And Becca, what a team. So Reverend Rose Studer is next to bring us the next section of our grand show.
Well, first, welcome everyone here again. They're always welcome here. So, I want to talk a little bit about why I use a practitioner and have used a practitioner. Since I've been with Science of Mind, which is really now what's called CSL, since 1970s. So it's been a long time. I was raised Catholic in a huge family and finally found somebody that was ministering that I could fit with, and that was at the Science of Mind then church. So the reason that I'm a practitioner and a minister, that's one of the things that has changed my life completely. It's a gift from God to manifest your growth. Realize your desires, changes, your life, heal the world, bring your miracles to you to manifest within you, and a map of where you are that creates your curiosity to move forward in life, the courage to find out who you really are, and realize being the creator of the perfect life for you. Becoming a practitioner is what you do. You realize being the creator of the perfect life for you, and it's also a reason to use a practitioner's services as a way of changing your life. People don't want to usually see change, or they don't want to change until they see change happen. Until then, they're in a state of fear, not just fear of change, but fear of many things. When my mother went into Good Samaritan home, she had a roommate, and a sign on her door saying 3 things in life are consistent: death, taxes, and crabgrass. I laughed and said, but one thing in life which is always consistent is change. So the way to allow change to happen is to start trusting yourself, to start working with a practitioner. Learn to listen. A lot of times we see things happen in the world, but are we listening for the changes, to see the changes? So your faith grows after working with a practitioner, and I've been with the same practitioner since 2012. My life has changed in many ways. It's letting go of fear and pulling yourself into the courage to allow your trust to grow, your faith to grow, your life to grow beyond where you are. And you learn to trust yourself and your practitioner. So my experience working with a practitioner covers so many changes. I will tell you about some of them. The change in going through 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I had 2 children, and then was a single parent working 2 to 3 jobs to support my 2 children, and then single parenting. Moving 25 times because I was a contractor, and I've lived all over the U.S. and worked in Europe. When I was 19 years old, some people say I came down with cancer, but somehow it came up with cancer of the thyroid. 2 traumatic brain injuries from 2 serious accidents, and brain surgery, until my final move to Washington and found out who I really was. I thought I was the youngest of 14 children until I got to Seattle and realized it was 20 children. There were deaths on the farm that no one ever talked about. So all these things are some kinds of things that a practitioner will pray for you for and with you. And it's really a gift that you give yourself. It's one of the most wonderful things to go through, wonderful person to go through life with ease and grace rather than choosing struggling. And So many things in my life have happened since the first day I made a choice to choose someone that I could trust, look for someone, and then find someone over many, many years. And I'm still with that practitioner. She's on vacation right now, but I am still with her, and it's been a real gift to myself to have this experience. So I appreciate you listening. It's been a wonderful joy in my life to be in a Signs of Mine church and watch things happening as they happen. Listen for all the changes that are coming and becoming who you really are. Thank you.
And now Becca Palm with our featured song.
The Spirit of God is upon us. The power of love is clear. In this sacred space together, there's no need to fear. If darkness or dense clouds start looming, we're led by the light from within. It's shining and guiding to this moment here. The Spirit of God is upon us. The power of love is clear. In this sacred space together, there's no need to fear. If darkness or dense clouds start looming, we're led by the light from within. It's shining and guiding to this moment here. The shadows fade as we begin to see the light within.
And now I have the privilege of introducing our first speaker, Randy Singer, practitioner of many years, who is the funniest man I know. But watch out, the laughter clears the way for the insight. He brings amazing positivity, and his insights and wisdom are breathtaking, and as you'll find out.
You can laugh with me, you can laugh at me, as long as you're laughing. All right. My name is Randy Singer. I've been a practitioner for a while now. I helped start this church. Got a call from Reverend Charles Hall back in the day, because I was in church, and we're kind of like, okay, we're going along, doing our thing. You know, I grew up in this. I've been in this in religious science since 1980. And so that's just what church is to me. And so people are like, oh, I just found this thing. I was like, really? I've been in this the whole time. But it's cool, and I've grown in it, because as a child, it's one thing. It's you know, you're learning, and so I was learning about meditation, and I remember being in high school, I guess geometry class, and we're doing proofs, and then I realized that a spiritual mind treatment is a scientific proof. I was like, oh man, I was 14, so. But then I realized I look in the back of a Science of Mind magazine, and I see the names of all these ministers. I was like, I remember, they used to be my Sunday school teacher. And so this is a big thing that, we can all be a part of and use this religious science and science of mind and whatever we call it this week, because it has changed a few times. Okay. All right, so as a practitioner, I get to give spiritual practice homework in my sessions. That's part of the session. And I find that forgiveness and gratitude are good starters for people. And if a lot of the times I'll be talking to someone and we'll touch on something, and I said, well, let's work on this and take this with you. But forgiveness and gratitude come up a lot because that's easy to do. And it really freeing, and it is empowering. And so that's something that we can all do every day, because if we find ourselves stuck, it's like, how can I be more forgiving, and how can I give more gratitude? So giving gratitude, I can start giving thanks for my errors, all the ways I messed up. Have we messed up before? Okay. I spend too much time being stuck, living in fear. Fear that I'm wrong. Fear that I'm not enough. Fear that I'm too far behind to catch up. How am I going to catch up? I mean, I'm 49. How am I ever going to catch up? And yes, I'm the second youngest one in here, so I realize that. Maybe the third youngest one. I just saw another one. But I'm not too far behind to catch up. And I have fear that I'll lose it all, and I'll be stuck at ground zero. But if I'm at ground zero, the only way is up. And I fear, the latest one, of being canceled. All those dirty jokes I make, all those silly things I did, come back up. Randy in 4th grade did blah, blah, blah. Let's cancel him. I hope not. And fear that they will figure out that I'm unlovable. I know I'm not unlovable, but that fear comes up. And I was reading through the Bible, and it's even in there. The fear that we're not enough, and we are. But we get to remind ourselves, and we can do practice on it, we can pray about it, and we can do forgiveness about it. What if I allow myself the opportunity to give thanks for my errors? Maybe I learned something. My friend and I were shooting a BB gun in my bedroom at stuff, and the BB bounced off something and hit me on the forehead. It could have been a lot worse. So I got eye protection after that, so that the next time the BB comes back at me, I don't poke an eye out. Maybe it saved me from a bigger problem. There's been times when I did a little error, and I said, man, that could have got a lot worse. That could have been a lot worse. Maybe I lost a few bucks here. Instead of, I had what was in my wallet instead of what was in my bank account or whatever, because I know people who that's happened to. What it may be, I can find ways to deal with this that are helpful in the world. So maybe I learned a lesson from this, and then I get to apply it to the next thing. So I get to use these errors as just the learning, because it's a learning opportunity. And most people aren't going to know anything about the silly thing I did last week, because I don't have to tell them. They don't know. But I learned something from it, and then I can go tell someone, hey, turn this way, flip on this switch, say these words, and oh, cool, thanks. So, but can I allow myself the opportunity to forgive myself for all those dumb things, or unfortunate things, or mean things? I was a middle brother. I had the beatings coming from the top down to me and passing on to my little brother. And we've had to do the forgiveness on each other for all that childhood attacks. I messed up. I messed with kids. Kids messed with me. We all did it to each other. And I get to forgive them, and I get to forgive myself, because there are people who are never going to be my friend because I beat them up in elementary school. It's true. And I'm trying to teach my son that. I said, stop hitting those kids because you're going to be in school with them for the next 11 years. And, it's one of those things is he's got to hear it and find it for himself. And so I give myself the grace to move forward with peace and beauty and success and know that joy is at hand because we can choose again. So can I find the joy in my errors? Can I laugh at them now? That man, that was silly that I said that thing out loud. I was in the middle of church and I was mad at my friend and I yelled out a swear word at him right when everything got quiet and everyone whipped their head around at me. Can I use this as an opportunity for strength and bravery and the courage to run headlong into potential of making a mistake? Am I stuck in the fear that I'm going to mess it all up? Am I stuck and not doing things? Am I looking at these things because I didn't take the risk? Because that stuckness, no one else knows why. People look at me and says, how come Randy is not doing better? He seems smart. He seems full of potential. He talks a good game. How come he's not living up to that potential? I guess we can accept it or we can give up on him, which kind of sucks, but that happens. What is the reward for the risk? And what is the damage or the punishment? So if I go out and take the risk, am I going to go bankrupt? Am I going to get beat up? Am I going to be alone? And what is worse, staying stuck or moving and erring, all the while knowing that there's time and opportunity to fix it? I remember sitting in Spain on a family vacation during my spring break of senior year. I had the furthest spring break trip of anyone at Western Washington University. I went to Costa del Sol, and that was awesome. My uncle let us know that this was an exciting time in my life, and my brothers too, but he kind of lamented to himself that he wished he had taken more risks. So I think we all heard that. Says I talked to my brother and everyone else was there. I said, man, Uncle Bill got a little dark there. But what can we learn from that? Because maybe we can take these risks, because I have found that in my 20s, they were a lot more forgiving. In my teens, they were a lot more forgiving. Now that, I'm older, people, I think, expect that maybe I learned something and maybe I have my stuff together. There was that old joke that why do people ask kids what they want to be when they grow up? Because they're looking for ideas. And so it's just like, I'm still looking for ideas on what I want to be when I grow up. But I can act like the person who has the confidence to know that I can fix my problems, that I can move forward with my problems and know that I'm not stuck on them. I don't have to be stuck. Sometimes, a lot of times, I feel like I'm so trapped by this, and I'm the only one who thinks that. No one else thinks that. I'm in my own trap. No one else knows. It's invisible. The people that do know, they're in the past, or they figured I moved on by now. Why am I stuck in this trap for myself? But whenever I feel stuck in the choices of my past, I can choose again. We can choose again. We can say, you know what? That time, that person, that crummy boss I had who hated me and thought I was useless and didn't give me the raises I deserved and always undermined me, that's in the past. I don't work there anymore. I don't have to live in that. And I showed her, I bought a condo and I turned that condo into a house. So, and yet, I still think about that stuff. And so I can do the forgiveness about her because it frees me up. The forgiveness always comes back to us because we can forgive them and they may or may not know it. We can talk to them about it. It doesn't matter whether they like it or not because it's freeing us up. I had an old friend that dumped me in 4th grade along with the rest of the school. So I let that define me, and I kept setting people up to repeat it. people repeatedly warned me I didn't have to assume that no one liked me. And I can allow them the chance to accept me. But I kept setting people up. I was like, oh, I'll just be a jerk because no one likes me. So I watched all these comedy shows and stuff. I started trying to be like Dan Fielding and Sam Malone, the dirty old dude, because I could get away with it because no one liked me anyways. And you know what? That was true, because that's how I acted. I made that my truth. But I kept going with this archetypal assumption that I was inherently flawed, or that a repressed flaw would haunt me. But it's amazing that all my life experience I've had in this teaching and the opportunities accepted, and a lot of growing and choosing the big work even when it hurts. So I've been doing this stuff. People are like, man, you grew up in religious science? Yeah, but I keep having new work to do. New stuff keeps coming up. Happily ever after? No, because when you think it's happily ever after, that's when the new stuff comes up. And if you don't work on it, you're in your new stuck trap, or whatever you want to call it. You're in your new experience, because as long as we're above the grave, we got more opportunities to live out loud, to live and be our best self. So, to err is human, to forgive is divine. I've heard that one before. So I've done a lot of forgiveness work. I think, there's a lot of ways to do it. We can all open up a book and find all the different ways to forgive. But it always leads back to us. So there's past, and so you can just pick one. So if you have some unforgivingness to do, unforgivingness is like drinking the poison yourself and hoping someone else dies. Inconceivable. Okay. Yeah, I have bad jokes. So I don't take up as much space in someone else's head as I think. Even if I do, I have little to no control over them. I can apologize, and they may or may not accept it. But I've done my part. And releasing the extra stuff, the blame, the shame, the guilt, ultimately lightens my load. Over the years, I've had many opportunities to be triggered. Man, I'm good at being triggered. And decide that and now I'm trying, this is a daily thing, to decide that I just don't want that anymore. That I have new opportunities keep showing up once we're all done. And what happened to happily ever after? What happened to that? I got married. I said, okay, yay. And man, there's a lot more work to do. They're like, oh, because there's this whole thing about men want the woman to be the way she was when they met her, and this wonderful thing, and women want this guy to grow up and figure it out and become a man and a provider, and it's just like, oh, no. And I think we all get to figure out that we are each our own person, and we all get to grow together, and staying in communication and working through that stuff is key, and that's in all aspects of our life. So I ran into the so-and-so the other day, and I looked at him, and through all those years of aging, and yes, we're both 49, I could say, hey, it's you. Good to see you, man. And I'm not even sure if he recognized me. And it doesn't matter, because that's not where I want to spend my time. I don't want to spend time with that guy. And I don't want to give him any more power, because I gave too much away to someone, and I found out that a lot of kids get dumped, that their friends don't want to be their friends anymore, and you get to choose new friends. And that happens with adults too. And I've talked to people, and they're like, God, that guy doesn't want to be my friend anymore. That person kind of ghosted me. And I'm finding also that it's not just that, it's that we're adults, and so we're not stuck in school with everyone every day, so people don't have to be around you. So we get to choose the people that want to be around us. My mom, I don't know if you all know her, she's a loving person, and she would hug around everyone at church and go around, and everyone loved my mom, and she loved kids and old people, and everyone loved my mom. She said, hey, beautiful, hey, handsome, because she didn't remember their names. And that's okay. But people loved it, and people wanted to go get a hug from Sylvia, and that was cool. And I finally figured out that I don't want to rob anyone from that. I don't need to be embarrassed by that. But she would tell me, she said, you know what? Everyone thinks, I know all of them, and we're all great friends. I have 3 friends, because those are the people that matter most to me. But everyone else thinks I'm their friend, and that's fine. I'll give them a hug. I'll listen to them. And it's okay to have 3 friends if they're real friends. So, let's see where I am here. I want to spend my time doing things I like with people I like. So we get to compromise. We do the work that we don't like all the time with and for people we may or may not like. We get to choose how to look at it and how we deal with it. So I'm grateful I have a nice home. I get to do the forgiveness and the gratitude for the crummy customers and bosses and the good ones too. If only I could gather up all of my learning and lessons and plunk them into my 6-year-old kid's head so that he doesn't have to go through all this crap I've gone through. And yet he gets to, and that's his deal, because we say it, hey man, I went through the same thing as you. I remember being your age, and if you could take my lesson that I'm trying to teach you, it will help you. And he, it'll sink in. Eventually, he'll be quoting me, just like I'm quoting my parents. And so I know that we are at choice each time, and that we can forgive ourselves and others, and we're allowed to make mistakes. I used to work for a lawyer. He ran headlong into all these things because he knew he could fix them, or he thought he could. I don't know how successful he was. He was kind of full of himself, but there's something precious in that we're allowed to move forward without all the answers, without all the knowledge, and just do our best and know that there is a time to fix it, or there's a time to forgive, or a time to learn a lesson and move forward with it. And that is good, and that's what we can do. So now, when I started doing practitioner studies, those many years ago, I had a prayer partner named Scott Young, and I kept calling his house, and he wasn't there or wasn't available, and I kept talking to his wife, ChristineEss, and she and I were talking about stuff, so I would call him to do prayer stuff, and ChristineEss and I would end up talking, and she was telling me that it was Scott's turn to do prac, and she was up next. Well, she has done that. She is a practitioner now, and she, this wonderful woman, ChristineEss Young, will be our next speaker.
Thanks, Randy. Oh my gosh. Randy and I have known each other a whole minute, that's for sure. So when we got together and we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today, we kept talking about that courage that it takes to be our authentic self. And I was thinking this week as we were preparing our talks, I was like, isn't that all we're really here to do ever? Just really tune into who we authentically are and then have the courage to move from that space, from that place, to find that divine light and just courageously say yes to that expression. And that's what Randy's talking about. He's talking about that, what does it take to find the courage to say yes to my joy, yes to my expression, yes to all of that. And I know for me that comes up big time. As a musician, I got to do my first retreat earlier this month with a lovely group of women. And it's so interesting how when people will see me perform, they'll come up and they'll be like, oh yeah, ChristineEss, she doesn't struggle with what it is to be in front of people. She doesn't struggle with what it is to share her authentic light. Obviously, it comes so naturally and so easily for her. And I thought it was so interesting because being with these women all weekend, I gave them an opportunity to see, I'm only here because I've been practicing allowing that to happen. I'm only here because I've been about my business of finding the courage. When I come up against the grindstone and I think it's going to take me down, I find a way to rise up. I find a way because it's what matters. And I have this awesome piece that I wanted to share with you all. But I'll be honest with you. Randy did a great job. And he was worried he wasn't going to be able to speak for 20 minutes. And that's why we're co-speaking, is because he wasn't sure he could do it. I think he's got it nailed. And he did a beautiful job. And as we were working together, yeah, right? As we were working together, if we could have our affirmation, we were talking about what do we want to affirm. So what I'd like to do is just conclude my time with you today. And I've got stuff to share with you, but I'm going to save it for another week. And I want to just sit with where we're at with what Randy shared with us today, because it was just perfect for today. But I'd love for us to say together the affirmation that Randy and I came up with. But before we do, I want to share what the word aplomb means. And I'm trying to remember. Randy had Googled it, and it just talks about when you have aplomb, you have confidence, and you have an expectance, and just a faith that that's what's up, right? Aplomb, that deep confidence. So I'm going to say this once, and then I'm going to have you guys repeat it with me 2 more times. I lovingly embrace my light and shadow and express vivaciously with aplomb. Let's say that together. I lovingly embrace my light and shadow and express vivaciously with aplomb. Now this time, like you really, really mean it, commit to it. I lovingly embrace my light and my shadow and express vivaciously with aplomb. Imagine that. Just take a moment and imagine yourself expressing vivaciously with aplomb. We're talking about the core of the truth of your being, the light that lives within you that is just excited to express. Just practice that. That second you just now took, that is spiritual practice. That holding that, practicing knowing that, practicing being that, that is spiritual practice. And that is one of the beautiful things about working with a practitioner. As a practitioner, sometimes people think I have it all together. But you know what I have? I have a practitioner, because there are days when I forget who I am. And I call my practitioner and they say, ChristineEss, I see you. Tell me all about it. And when I tell them about it, I release it. And now I'm done with it. They remind me the truth of who I am. We breathe together. There's usually a homework assignment. And I get to practice. I get to practice remembering who I am. And it does take practice. Just like singing, I didn't get there overnight. I've been at it for 45 years, or 47. My first performance, I was 3. So I've been at it for a whole minute. My piano playing has finally gotten reasonable in the last 2 years. I've been playing since I was 5. We get there when we're tenacious and we practice. So this is the practice we have today. One more time, practice with me as we say together, I lovingly embrace my light and shadow and express vivaciously with aplomb. So from that space, I invite you to take your prayer card that you have in your seat. If you're online, you can go to genesiscsl.org and put in a prayer request there for the prayer practitioners. And I just want to invite you to, if you've had a prayer demonstrate and you want to share that with the practitioners, you can write that down. Otherwise, from this space of just recognizing your light, craft a prayer request. And it can be a prayer where you find a way that you want to remove an obstacle to you expressing your light, or you recognize you're already in the joy of expressing your light, and you would love for a practitioner to know in consciousness, without a doubt, that that's how you're expressing every moment and every day, in every way. So just from that space, take a moment and craft a prayer request. We'll take a minute and just write. In a moment, when we have the offering collected, you'll take that prayer card and put it with your offering in the basket. Those are going to be given to our practitioner team, and we are going to pray on those and know in consciousness the truth of that with you all week this week. Thank you so much. And now, the incomparable Becca Palm.
It's fun this morning. Free to live in the fullness of the Spirit, boldly moving forward, and everywhere I go, I am free to live, to know that life is always for me. It's guiding, serving, teaching me. I'm complete and whole, but sometimes my mind gets so burdened from mistakes I've made before, and I can't seem to forgive myself, so I can just start over. And sometimes I want to hear I'm sorry, so that I can feel complete. Instead I see the light in me as well as everyone I meet, and now I'm free to live in the fullness of the Spirit, boldly moving forward, and everywhere I go, I'm free to live, to know that life is always for me. It's guiding, serving, teaching me that I'm complete and whole. I know my life, it's a mirror, and it reflects my thoughts to me. So I release all my false beliefs until I can clearly see that I am love and I am kindness, the only way to be. Saying yes to the joy inside, loving and being me. Yeah, I'm free to live in the fullness of the Spirit. I'm boldly moving forward, and everywhere I go, I'm free to live, to know that life is always for me. Guiding, serving, teaching me that I'm complete and whole. It's guiding and serving and teaching me that I'm completely whole.
Thank you. Thank you, Becca. All right. I get to take a minute to talk to you about practitioners, which is what we're doing today, but specifically about what is a practitioner session. We're up here every Sunday, and we say at the end of the end of our meeting that we will be over here in the alcove to do a little prayer. So if you've sat with us, it's 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, real quick. Tell me what's going on. Quick prayer. But a practitioner session, what we've been taught, ChristineEss has been talking about, what Randy's been talking about. I have my own practitioner. Thank you, life, that I have my practitioner. We all have them. A practitioner session is an opportunity, I think it was somebody said about listening, right? Rose said about listening. When you sit with a practitioner, you know that you are heard and that you know that you are seen. And whatever it is that's happening in your life that you just need a little more clarity on is already held in that sacred space. It's almost like a nothingness. Like we release our word into the ethers. And if we don't have the opportunity to sit and do that with a practitioner, we hold those things inside. They become stuck within us. Randy used the word stuck. We have a lot of stuckness, all of us. We all have stuckness. If you have the opportunity to sit with a practitioner for a length of time, homework was mentioned also, forgiveness work, gratitude, but just the opportunity to sit with somebody who you know holds you in your wholeness. When we sit with somebody, we already know the truth. The words are spoken, here's my problem, here's what I'm experiencing, here's my challenge, here's why I feel miserable. All that's being said, and it's just going into the ethers. A practitioner is holding the truth, the container of truth for that person, their wholeness, their perfection. And there's an opportunity to release then, and then to embrace and embody that wholeness that we are, that thing that makes us unique. No comparison, nothing to do, but to be. And to reveal what it is that wants to be revealed. That's what we get the privilege of doing. I want to just close by saying that the word practitioner, as it applies to those of us who wear these stoles, right, is a degree of study and practice. But as a gift, I want you to know that each of you is a practitioner. We are practicing in our life. Everything that we do is an opportunity to do something different, to try something different. We're practicing. We come here and we listen to Reverend James and our practitioners speak and get opportunities to do something different. We're all practicing. We have our spiritual practices. They might be as simple as saying an affirmation. Whether or not you believe it, you are all practitioners, and you all have your spiritual practice in your own unique ways, and I honor that today. That is what this is about. That is what being a practitioner is about. That is what a practitioner Sunday is about, is celebrating that. So I acknowledge and I honor the practitioner in each individual in this room. And I give thanks for those who make themselves available to hold the container. Those practitioners, my brothers and sisters, hold the container when things seem to be off course. It's a privilege and an honor to do that. And so thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Genesis.
Don't go too far, Karen. Christy, do you have the, oh, there it is. Cynthia, can you bring up the bouquet? So there are practitioners and there are practitioners. And Karen Williams is an extraordinary practitioner. She's attaining the title this year of Practitioner Emeritus. And this has the word merit in it because she merits it through her extraordinary practice of being a practitioner for over 20 years. Oh, for over 20 years. So,
Can I add something?
please.
I do want to say about 20 years. As I said, we're all practitioners. We're all practicing in our own ways. But I couldn't be a practitioner emeritus this 20 years without a community to be of service to. And so it is with deep regard to where I began in Riverside, California, and where I grew and got my practitionership in Temecula, and my time in Arcata, and my time here in Burien, that consistency of community. That's truly what it's all about. I knew no matter where I was, no matter what city I was in, I had a community, and I had people who knew me, who saw me, and who heard me, and knew my truth. So thank you for the opportunity for being that here today. Thank you.
So Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth. And we love that you're here. You're here to share that with us. So now I'm going to give us all an invitation to participate in circulation, to connect with abundance and generosity. You've got these envelopes on your seats or nearby, and we truly appreciate your support. Let's take a moment to craft our financial gifts to Genesis. If you're on Facebook, please use our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to the number on the screen to a 6-800-7595. And look in your heart, enjoy your opportunity to practice generosity. And of course, you can think about if you give your gift electronically, think about that. And so let's all take the opportunity to hold your prayer request and your offering next to your heart as we say our offering blessing together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. Gideon will now collect the offerings and your prayer cards, and while he does that, please stand and sing our song, Stepping into the Flow, also composed and written by our own Becca Palm.
I'm stepping
into the flow, giving and receiving blessings that I know. I'm a part of something bigger in all of who I am. So grateful. I'm stepping into the flow. I'm stepping into the flow, giving and receiving blessings that I know. I'm a part of something bigger in all I am. So grateful. I'm stepping into the flow. So grateful. I'm stepping into the flow.
Thank you. And we, with open hearts, we receive these gifts, knowing the fruits that come forth do powerful works. And we bless the givers, knowing that as we give, we receive tenfold. In deep gratitude, we give thanks, and so it is. So thank you for joining us today. Please stay after the service for food and fellowship. Someone will be in the alcove for those who'd like to pray with a spiritual practitioner. Wishing everybody a week filled with joy, love, and true connection. So let's please stand and sing our closing song, I Release.